What drew me to Amy was I was suddenly and really out of the blue very suicidal and extremely anxious all of the time. And I was actually very concerned for my own safety. And it got to the point where the anxiety was so bad one day I just left work. I got to work and I left 30 minutes later and I drove myself straight to an urgent care clinic. And on the way to the urgent care clinic, I also called Amy. Like I said, I was on medicine about 5 days when I came to see Amy the first time, and she explicitly told me to stay on my medicine. But I went off of it that day and I haven't had it since, and I've been totally fine. Yes, I haven't had any suicidal thoughts. No, I'm not afraid for my own safety anymore. I'm not afraid I'm going to harm myself. And all of that was after that session with Amy and then the distance session that same night. And I've been able to be off my medicine. Yeah, I definitely never felt any judgment from Amy. It was, it's interesting because one of the things that she was telling me when I was asking all of my questions of something that's going to happen in the future, it could be perceived as something that a lot of people would look at me negatively for. And I I mentioned that, and it almost kind of surprised Amy, because she's so non-judgmental that it didn't even occur to her that somebody else could see this scenario play out and think anything negative about it. Just a very accepting of the way that, I guess, the way that the universe plays out. And so you just feel very comfortable sharing whatever you need to share, or getting any messages that you need to get, because you don't feel like it's getting filtered through a layer of judgment getting added to it. After my first session with Amy, I did a little bit more research in certain things, and I saw that she read angel cards. And I've always been somebody that in college I would tell people their fortune with face cards. I just made it up. I made up some certain rules, and I would do that. So I thought, well, I want to learn how to read angel cards too, because I think that I would really love that and I would really enjoy it. It's changed my perspective in that any of this work is done by somebody that's better or more special than the rest of us. I think that we're all very special, and we're all capable of doing this. It's a matter of being open to it, and especially if somebody's afraid of having somebody else work with them, you can do this for yourself too. We're able to heal ourselves, and the person that you're working with is more of a facilitator. I definitely see that, but the healing comes from within. In-person session with Amy, I got really angry, and I was self-aware enough to know that I wasn't angry at anything I could point my finger to. I It wasn't like somebody walked through the room and I didn't like what they were wearing, and nobody said anything to me. All of a sudden, I just got very, very angry. And so I sent Amy a text or an email. I think it might have been an email. And I was like, Amy, this is what I'm feeling. I feel like maybe I need something else. Can you check and see? And she checked, and we mutually were knowing that I needed some more work done around the energy, because, like I said, during the initial assessment, my questions were so significant. So what we decided was that same night I would do a distance session with Amy, or she would do a distance session with me, where she would work on just strengthening up my aura a little more, because she had definitely released something and put a cover or a shield over it, but it needed some more strengthening. So I got in bed and said she was about to start, and I was laying in bed, and I was really excited. I don't know why, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to feel it or not. And I knew immediately when she started. It felt like she started with my feet, because the energy and the warmth just started at the bottom, and it came up, and it was very strong. Not only the whole time she was doing the session, but it continued after she texted me that she was done. There is something very significant that happened during that distance session, or that first one. I was laying there and I just asked if I could see the angels that were working on me. And I had never seen any visions before, but I asked because that was significant. I thought, well, even though I've never done this before, it's important, so maybe they'll let me see something. And I was able to see it looked like it was like waves of smoke around me. I was able to see smoke around me, and it was like it was all connected, but certain parts of it were more dense. And as I was seeing them, I felt a huge amount of love that they had for me. Like it came in and it went into my body, and it was an enormous amount of love, and it almost felt like I was part of them, like I was part of the group too. And the love wasn't just directed towards me from them. It was all of a sudden I felt love for myself as well, and I felt love from them, and it was very overwhelming. And then it was gone, and so the love was gone, and the vision was gone. And I found out later that sometimes the love from the angels can be a bit overwhelming on the human body, and so I felt like it was a big blessing that I was able to see and feel as much as I did. And somebody asked me later if I was ever scared, working with Amy or having energy work done. And for me, I'm like, nothing negative can create that feeling of love. Like that feeling is coming from someplace good and positive. My daughter woke up one morning, and she was saying that her back hurt. And I just thought she slept on it funny. We all get a little back pain sometimes, and she's 5. And so I told her it would go away in a few days. And about 5 days later, she was still complaining pretty consistently that her back was hurting her pretty bad. And so I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to see if Amy's available to do a session on my daughter. And my daughter had also had some fears that she's had her whole life. She's always been very, very afraid to put her face in the water. So it's been very difficult to get her to swim. And she was probably 2 years old before I could even sit her in the bathtub. She just had a huge fear of water from the time that she was an infant. And she also would never wear anything around her wrist. So we would go to a water park, and they give you those bands to put on your wrist. And she was 18 months old and refused to wear it. We almost couldn't get in the park because she wouldn't put it on her wrist. And she was still like that. Tie a balloon around her, and she wants you to take it off. She just doesn't want anything there. So I asked Amy to check her back and to check the areas where she had some fears. And the next morning, and I told my daughter what was going to happen. I know as a mother, I have the authority to make medical decisions for my child, but I knew it would be more impactful if she was accepting of it as well. So I told her what was going to happen in a language that she could understand and verbiage that she could understand. And the next morning when she woke up, she said, instead of my back hurting this much, it only hurts this much. And then in the day after that, she told me, my back doesn't hurt anymore. So it took 2 days and her back was fine. And then probably within a week or two, I was able to start her in swim classes, and she's doing great. And then my ex-husband texted me a picture of her on Friday. He had taken her to a fair, and she was wearing a bracelet that, like one of the bands that they put around your wrist whenever you're at a fair. So she's definitely making a lot of progress from the areas that were fearful for her or just pain as well. I would say if you're at all considering coming to see Amy, you don't have to be afraid of you only want one visit and you don't want to get involved in something that is more outside of your space. You can try it once, and you won't feel any sense of attachment that's negative at all. It'll be all, anything that comes to you will be through love and healing, and in whenever you feel it's appropriate, maybe you can come back for another session, or if you feel fine after that and you feel healed, then you won't be getting any pressure or any negative advice that you're not healed. So it's possible to be healed.